Hello everyone and welcome to Digital Marketing Analytics, a short course presented by IT Masters on behalf of Charles Sturt University. My name is Guy Coward and I'll be your MC for the duration of this course. Your mentor is Elisha, who I will introduce shortly. Before we begin, just some housekeeping. All webinars for this course will be held at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, with recordings made for those of you who cannot attend on a given night. Despite this, if you can make it, I really hope you'll attend the live webinars and contribute to the collaborative learning environment we're trying to foster. As you can likely see and hear, we use Zoom for our webinars. We encourage the asking of questions and the use of chat during the webinar, and there are two ways to do so. We ask that you direct all course content related questions to the Q&A section, and that you send all administration type questions and auxiliary questions to the support team in chat. You can chat with panelists only, which is to say IT Masters and Charles Sturt representatives only, or to your fellow students as well. And you can make that choice by toggling through the drop-down box once you've opened the chat log. There are usually some very experienced industry-based attendees who often have useful insights that augment our presentations, and they'll be helpful with any queries you might have. It's also a nice space just to enjoy and network, but please be mindful of allowing yourself and others to fully enjoy and digest the content. We'll have Q&A sessions periodically, and I'll interrupt if a question is particularly relevant. For those of you who've never taken part in a short course with us, and it's just under a third of registrants for this course, IT Masters is a training organisation that exists as a partner to Charles Sturt. We work with them to create and deliver a number of master's courses in IT generally, management, marketing, and project management. We also market these courses on their behalf. These free short courses are created in the belief and hope that the best way to do that is to give some of it away free. If we do a good enough job, then students will be encouraged to enroll in postgrad study if it suits them. We do hope, however, that this course is its own reward. We want you to learn some useful information, have some fun, and hopefully make connections with your fellow students and your mentors. Leif, Chantel, and Rebecca are around tonight in an administrative and support role for IT Masters. Leif is responsible for the course page at learn.itmasters.edu.au, which is where you'll find all the materials needed for this course: readings, discussion forums, quizzes, lots of useful links. If you have any issues with the course page, you can contact us using the details listed. We'll have a series of guest lecturers in this course, which is always exciting. Next week, a representative from Charles Sturt, Jason Howarth, will talk about his university and give you an idea of what studying with them is all about, as well as how these short courses can help you in completing a postgraduate course. So if you have any questions about, I guess, the university details, hold them over till next week and Jason will answer them. Elisha made this course and the subject that it's based upon in our postgrad digital marketing courses. She is a lecturer at CSU and has previous experience at Lowe's Manhattan, Saba, Katie's, Ticketek, DealsDirect.com, and Australia Post. I'm not sure whether she knows my sister, who is a postie, but that probably doesn't matter for this short course. Anyway, can you please welcome Elisha? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, and thanks so much for the intro. Hi, everyone, and welcome to CSU short course in Digital Marketing Analytics. My name's Elisha Booth, and I thought I'd provide a bit of a background before we kick off for tonight. Really excited to be here. Thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, just a little bit of a background with regards to my speciality in digital marketing analytics, e-commerce, and generally marketing strategy. I guess I've got about 15 to 20 years experience across all of those disciplines, and obviously always curious and ongoing learning is definitely part and parcel of my experience, and I definitely think that this course gives you a little bit of a preview as to what's on offer for the digital marketing analytics course. I've got a master's degree. I actually achieved that at Charles Sturt University whilst working full-time and having a a baby as well, so it was really great and flexible, and I was able to complete that over a number of years. So Charles Sturt University is an awesome university to study by distance online, so I highly recommend that. So I have been also an adjunct lecturer and mentor for Charles Sturt University over the years, and really enjoy partnering with them on short courses like this, and also the master's degree courses as well. I will be teaching the Digital Marketing Analytics master's degree course and as part of the Applied Digital Marketing master's degree, and just really excited to be here. I've worked with some of Australia's largest retailers, including Ultraceuticals, Lowe's Manhattan, Saba, Katie's, Australia Post, Ticketek, Deals Direct, and SafeDome.com, and I've also done some work with some international players such as Dyson too. You can see my contact there. Feel free to reach out with any questions, but let's get going. So what have we got in store for you? Quite a bit. So the good news is that you can watch the recording and pause and, apply some of that knowledge in real life. It's at your own pace as well. So obviously we're live tonight, but you'll get a copy of the presentations, and you can also pass that on to your colleagues and or students, and feel free to use it. It is a free course. So what are we going to achieve? Week 1, which is now, I'm going to introduce you to digital marketing analytics and e-commerce analytics or web analytics. We're going to go through the measurement tracking of marketing campaigns and how you can measure the effectiveness and optimize those campaigns. Also, how do we track campaigns? So that we're going to be touching base on UTM tracking and different methods of doing that, as well as Google Tag Manager. And then the finale will be around pay per click, which is PPC, and that's using Google Adwords and looking at campaign structure and how to analyze that as well. Week 2 is all about welcoming you to the world of CSU and giving you a little bit of an insight as to the CSU student life. So it's going to be a great session with regards to the potential of doing your digital marketing analytics course or the broader applied digital marketing master's degree, and various other options there with regards to your study. We're also then going to jump into customer relationship management, so CRM, as well as electronic direct mail, so EDM, campaign analytics, and what are the key metrics that you would look at and how to set up KPIs. Then we're going to look at SCRM, which is social CRM, and look at social media analytics. Then we're going to look at how do you measure the value of a customer. So you can do that through customer lifetime value calculations as well as net promoter score. So that'll be very exciting as well. Week 3, we're going to get more technical, looking at AI's customer experience and web analytics, sort of stepping it up a little bit into the intermediate realm. We're going to be looking at A/B multivariate testing and the benefits of doing that and how to actually do it. Then we're going to be looking at conversion rate optimization and various ways that you can improve the outcome of a campaign by looking at the data analytics. Then we're going to look at CMS and dynamic page tracking. And through all of this, we're going to be very much enjoying our guest speaker, Dilhan Madaranga. And Dilhan worked for me at Lowe's and also at Fresh Flowers. He's an amazing senior developer engineer, specializing mainly in Magento platform, PHP, but he'll be able to talk you through all of that. So definitely, if you were to choose a week, come in that week. It's fantastic. Week 4, we're going to circle back on Google Analytics. We're going to look at the benefits of analysing on-site search. So when someone comes to your site, looking in the search bar and typing in some keywords and being able to measure how those words are converting, if they're converting at all, and some of those insights to improve the customer journey. We're going to be developing, building online personas. So using data, we'll be able to build a online persona, or maybe even a few of those, so that you know when you're doing your marketing campaigns that you're in the mindset of your customers, understanding their pain points, understanding their passions, and understanding their needs. Then we're going to go through Data Studio report creation and developing web and digital plans. So we've got quite a bit to cover. Don't worry, you're in safe hands, and I know that you'll enjoy the journey. So I guess you're asking, why am I here? Well, really, you're here to learn about how to track and analyze data and have a good level of understanding of how to do that. We're going to discuss really, we're going to start at an entry level, do some polls to get a sense check on your experience as a group, and I'll adjust accordingly. But generally speaking, even if you do know how most of it all works, it's sometimes good just to do a refresher at a entry level. However, I will provide options for those who are more intermediate to advanced. So we'll ramp up over each week, and we'll start at 7:30 p.m. For around about an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. But as I said, it's over a 4-week period, and we will record those sessions. So really the purpose of the webinars is really to provide a snapshot preview of the master's degree at CSU. And it's really on the basis of a new web analytics course I've put together. So this is to give you a little bit of a snapshot as to what will be covered in the course. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. So I've selected Google Analytics as the main platform, and it's probably the most mainstream used analytics platform. I'm going to go through a few of the others as well that you might be familiar with, but for the sake of the next 4 weeks, I think it's good just to stick with the one. We will run Q&A after every webinar, so if you've got any questions, you can shoot those out to me or the guest speaker. And any more other questions that you want to ask or just want to talk to me directly, feel free to reach out after the course via my contacts. Yes, there is an exam. There's 40 multiple choice questions. All answers are in my presentation. You need to get a pass mark of 50%, and you get multiple times to undertake the exam. Preparation is really to re-watch the video webinars, to take some notes, know how metrics for digital marketing and web analytics work, and have a calculator as well. That might be handy. And obviously we're recording the session, so for the purposes of the live session, the due date is the 24th of November 2019, and you will receive a CSU certificate. Obviously, if you're playing this way, in a couple of years' time, obviously that due date is no longer valid. But yeah, just know that there is an optional exam there. There's some sources that I've used throughout each week, and I have referred to them in each of the webinar slide decks. So feel free to click on those to find out more. And yeah, really, my mantra is really around understanding web and digital marketing analytics, and in general, just understanding new concepts and new frameworks. Is if you can't explain it simply, you really just don't understand it well enough, and to keep seeking to understand. And that's not a bad thing. Some people might think it's an annoying thing, but if they understand that you're really just seeking to understand, and everyone learns in a different way, then I would definitely encourage you to keep asking those questions until you do. So what is digital marketing analytics? It's a collection, analysis and measurement of data to improve campaign effectiveness and customer experience, and ultimately it optimizes and drives and increases ROI. It's actually used to determine the effectiveness of digital marketing campaigns and analog marketing campaigns in recent years. Data can be measured in a number of ways, and it helps you basically make decisions and helps you determine whether you should scale a campaign up or actually turn that campaign off. Digital marketing has a number of different metrics which we will cover in this course, and I'll dive in deeper a little bit later. Again, it helps the customer journey be defined per channel, and it gives you a return on marketing spend. And it actually defines the relationship between each marketing channel as well, so, and how they interact with each other as part of the customer journey. So analytics of a website is really looking at the performance of things like page load, conversion rate, visitor behavior, and it really is, the foundation of it is really by tracking CMS pages and dynamic pages. It also encompasses testing different, different call to action buttons or different content on a page to see how customers are interacting with that page, and to be able to adjust that and run different tests and roll out the winner. In week 3, I do preview heat maps, and I'll be working with Dilhan to explain how you can make really informed decisions on what to serve on a web page. So that will be really interesting to go through. Some of you may have heard of conversion rate optimization, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's sort of having a hypothesis and actually having 2 versions of it and rolling that out and seeing which one is the winner. And the other way you can do it with digital marketing is things like EDMs, where you might do a subject test. You might have 2 subject lines that you want to test, and you test to a small cohort, and then whichever one gets the most open rates, you roll out to the rest of the database, but more on that later. So web analytics, so if we look at a website or a mobile app, it includes the collection, measurement, analysis, reporting, optimization, software performance, speed, validation, etc. And it's all down to the tagging and the tracking. So when I come into work every day, I look at blended web analytics and digital marketing analytics. So I just want to be really clear that this course will cover digital marketing analytics, but it also deals with web analytics, which is definitely a dependency in this day and age. So I work at Best and Less. I work as the head of online, and essentially I'm looking at the website performance as well as all the digital marketing, and that's where Dom and I work together on to get the traffic to the site and to convert that traffic. So when you get a handle on the entire picture, and this is when you are building dashboards, you can really make very quick and nimble decisions, especially in an agile environment. So I just wanted to be clear about the difference. I've actually referenced there HubSpot. So web analytics, measures things like an SEO optimization project, so writing keywords that will result in a higher ranking in Google search, for example. Digital marketing analytics, on the other hand, measures your traffic, your leads and your sales, and it allows you to observe online events and determine whether leads will become customers. So over on the right is a digital marketing funnel. For those of you who are marketers will be very familiar with this. I wanted to put it in there just to, I guess, show you what the top of the funnel is, and getting to the bottom of the funnel is all about advocacy. And it's, digital analytics is all about the measurement of that and the blending of digital and web analytics to learn more about the customer behavior. So marketing analytics concerns itself with the tracking, collection, analysis and effectiveness of digital marketing efforts, such as content, web technologies, on-site search. So when you go to a website and you search for, I don't know, a baby jumpsuit, making sure that the customer is seeing what they have searched for, and making sure that if they don't see that, that you're actually, mapping that search result correctly. And when you use platforms like Google Analytics, you can actually see what customers are searching for
and seeing where they're bouncing. So that sort of indicates that you need to probably look at that particular search term. More on that later in the sessions in week 3. The customer lifestyle life cycle has changed. So on the left, you can see that it was a fairly straightforward traditional process. On the right of that, the digital customer life cycle is very dependent on many things. I've read a lot of different articles, and essentially on average you need at least 6 to 10 touch points to convert a customer, whether that's a lead or a sale or a download. Essentially all these different levers are part of the mix, and to be able to measure those is a real challenge. So it makes it really challenging. But analytics is all about what are you using for your source of truth and how are you going to measure that. So the analytics platforms that I've used and that Dom has used and Dilhan have used are many. Tableau is easy to use. It's a drag and drop solution. It can blend offline and online data. So if you, for example, work for a retailer, you can actually bring in the POS data and match the data to the analytical data that you may get from a website and have a single customer view. A lot of the different digital analytics platforms actually do that, but it's all about the internal systems and how they talk to each other and various APIs, and obviously the syncing of data. So that is one option. If you quickly want to pop in what type of analytics platform that you either know about or have used or prefer, please add that to the chat, and maybe Guy can read out a few of the ones that I haven't mentioned. Adobe Analytics I've used, formerly Omniture Site Catalyst. I don't know if anyone out there has used this before. It's a little bit more tricky. It's a bit more heavyweight, but it's similar to Excel with the drag and drop. It's got pivot charts and tables in Excel. And again, it's all about bringing the data into one platform or a couple of platforms and actually making some informed decisions. Okay. Google Analytics. This is probably the most well-known, in my opinion. There's free Google certification and a lot of community YouTube, I guess, sharing information. I find that it's more intuitive. I'm quite familiar with this platform. It's actually my go-to, but it's really important to ensure that the tracking's set up correctly and that you're running tests consistently. So I know that Dom will talk about this a little bit later with regards to Google Adwords, but for the purposes of this course for the next 4 weeks, obviously I can't cover all the different platforms, so I'm going to focus on analytics. I will say that you can do a free introduction analytics course through Google. It's a really great course to do, and if you're excited about doing this course, I would definitely encourage you to work your way through doing that particular course. So I guess it's a good time just to talk to everyone with regards to your marketing analytics and web analytics experience or confidence level, if you like. Now, it's okay to be brand new or you're still learning for the first year. I would like to know and just gauge of the people that are here, if you can just rank 1, 2, 3 or 4, that would be great.
Quite a strong lean towards the brand new or still learning. 75%, that's really great.
Great, excellent. Well, I think I'm on track then, which is good to know. And obviously, if people are highly experienced at 75%, I would probably adjust the next couple of weeks of presentations. So I'm really happy to see that there's mainly, still learning and good level. I do note though there's some highly experienced people out there. Could be a few people from Best and Less or Lows or Australia Post, maybe. Great.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we've got 80% of people voted. There's about 270 people in here, by the way. We've got 74% brand new or still learning, so less than 1 year, and 21% 1 to 3 years of experience, good level of experience. and then 3 and 2% for highly experienced and expert. So I'll end that.
Okay.
Share
Excellent.
it on the screens.
Yep.
And you can all probably see that now. And now we can continue on. Laughing
Excellent.
and singing.
Great. Alrighty, so just wanted to go over the common data metrics per channel. Now, there's many, many more, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have after the webinars come to the Q&A section. But CRM, Customer Relationship Management, EDM, so things like open rate, click-through rate, click-to-open rate, traffic, recency, frequency and value, conversion revenue, and customer lifetime value. I believe next week I'm going to show you how to calculate the customer lifetime value in a live session, so stay tuned for that. So you have the paid search and display, and Dom will definitely talk about that. So the ROAS is return on ad spend. Another way to, I guess, classify that is return on investment, same sort of thing. From an e-commerce platform perspective, key metrics are conversion rate, time the customer spends on the site, or the site stickiness, the engagement rate. So again, how long are they on the page? What are they interacting with? Are they converting? The bounce rate is can be directly related to, I guess, the kind of traffic that can come to a site from, say, paid search. And if the traffic's I guess not as high quality as you want, you might get a higher bounce rate in that particular channel, and then you'd need to optimize and adjust. Things like search terms, conversion is what I was talking about earlier, and that is when someone comes to your site and searches for a particular search term, and you know, if they don't convert, I guess, to the page, you can actually dive deeper into that detail, and I guess we can, usually you would map out the proper search result for that search page. So I've got more on that in week 4, I believe. So conversion rate optimization I spoke about earlier with your landing pages and in general with the website, and things like heat maps and screen recordings is something that we do all the time at Best and Less. So when you look at, you know, if we're finding that a conversion rate is not to budget, we might look and look at a few recordings that we've set up on the page and see, you know, is there some problems with the checkout, for example? Is there a misunderstanding? Do we need to put in some more trust messaging, or do we need to do an upsell to convert them? So making those sort of decisions is really important with that particular data set. Social media, again, I won't go through all of these because we'll be here all night, but you've got a copy of the presentation. It's really about just tracking each of those, and I just want to put a nod to phone calls and emails. Dom recently started tracking Best and Less emails from in Google, so we can actually track how many calls are going to a specific bricks and mortar store, which was super cool. And now we actually measure that based on TV advertising. So he might want to touch on that a little bit later on how he did that. Okay. So again, I just want to go over the, I guess, the key ones that we look at and what I've looked at for many years. Return on advertising spend. So you have X amount of dollars and you work out how much you want to get back for that spend. So, you know, if you want to get $20 back, then you might, you know, on another channel like social media, you might only get $4 back. So, you know, once you kind of test and learn, you can actually make some really informed decisions on where to spend your advertising on digital marketing. Last click attribution refers to where the customer has last clicked before they converted, and they get that last click. For example, social media will be 100% of the sales conversion. Custom attribution is a variable percentage attribution. So imagine you've got an EDM, a Facebook post or a Facebook advert, you've got some paid Google search advertising, and you've got, say, an affiliate, which is like, you know, commission factory, you know, something like that. And we know that the customers come through various channels. You can actually distribute 100% across those channels equally, which is actually linear. Or you can actually say the first click, which was the EDM, gets 70% of the attribution of the sale, and maybe it's, you know, a couple in between, like social media might get 10% of that, and then the last click will get, say, 20. So you can actually determine that in a lot of the analytical platforms, and it's a more effective way of attributing both your expenses and also your scaling up in each of those. So if you find that EDM's working really well, you might want to invest more in that. Or if you find that, you know, paid search is working really well, you might want to invest more in that as well. So first click is 100% of the sales attributed to first interaction. I don't think I've heard of that for many years. I guess if I look at 12 years ago at Deals Direct, we used to look at first click. There used to be companies called first click in terms of the paid advertising aspect, but if anyone's heard of that in recent times, please do post that on the chat. So why measure digital marketing campaigns? You know, we must track, we must justify our spend, and certainly I use that as a business case for deeper investment. It's very easy to have a quick idea and actually go, I just want to quickly test that. I know that Dom can talk about that and how we adjust campaigns, especially for generic search terms, for example. It's very competitive out there. It's all about launching it, watching it, learning, and then making the adjustments. Predicting your performance based on previous data is something that I'm very passionate about. It actually gives you more of a sense check before you actually are prepared to fail forward. It actually gives you less of a fail forward approach. And, you know, in the last 5 years, I've seen some real big changes in that area. Also, it enables you to optimize campaigns and make data-driven decisions, and that's really important. It allows you to be channel agnostic, which is really about where are our customers, where can we see them coming from, and where do we need to be to talk to them. So I guess 3 years ago I was talking about omni-channel, but obviously now with all the data-driven information on big data, we can actually, we actually take a channel agnostic approach, which is really important. And also, you know, you walk into a meeting room, there's some anecdotal beliefs from maybe, I guess, you know, finance that don't know about the web and digital analytics, or, and I'm not saying this about Best and Less, we've got a fantastic finance team, but, you know, like there could be some assumptions that are made based on, you know, emotion or just, you know, the desire to push a particular category because they've got a budget. When you look at Google Analytics and Google Trends, you can actually see how many people are searching for this particular jumpsuit or this particular bike. And I think when you have the data, it actually takes the emotion out of it and actually helps you for yourself and also for their benefit, actually look at having a more meaningful and more, I guess, data-driven conversation. The top 5 analytical tools.
Just to jump in,
yeah,
Elisha,
sure. Yeah.
we've had a couple of requests and an interesting question from Sam and a really good question. Can we get an acronym dictionary or list of acronyms used? And we've had people asking in a couple of times that we've typed the answers out to.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So first one, we'll go MVT.
Sorry, what was that?
Jack has asked what the acronym MVT stands for. Was that? AB and MVT and automation.
Oh, sorry, multivariate testing. Sorry, I should have said that. Multivariate testing. So you're serving multi-variables within a page. So it might be a H1, which is a product heading. You might change that to something else or a different color, or you might change a call to action button and serve 2 different variations.
Great. We also had RFV before.
Recency, frequency, and value. So that's how recent a customer has come to your site, how frequent they are normally, and recency, and what value, how much are they worth over a period of time.
Awesome, thank you. For those of you listening along, I've started a post in the discussion forum on the course page, and it's called Acronym Glossary. So if you want to
Well
chuck
done.
any posts in there about, any requests or any answers, feel free to chuck them in there. And also the chat is a great place for that sort of stuff because, as we said before, there's a lot of really experienced people who can help out with that.
Yes, and I must apologise. Sometimes when we go into meetings, Dom and I, we do tend to talk in acronyms. So I'll be conscious of that when I present. So
and in fact, some of the people sending in questions are guilty of the same thing. James, for example, has asked, do you recommend doing an AMP version of the website, and how should you use the same tracking code or a separate one? And I had to do some Googling because I had no idea what AMP means accelerated mobile pages, which I think is a pretty good question.
That must be one of the 3%ers.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question.
So what do you reckon? Do you recommend using an AMP version of a website?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
We'll keep the rest of the question for later, James.
Thanks, James. Does James recommend it?
Good question.
Let's keep going. So some of the tools that we use, obviously I've mentioned a couple of the analytical platforms. We use Hotjar, SEMrush, Optimizely, Crazy Egg, ClickTail, and GetClicky.com. Now you can Google those, you can run a free trial. I won't go through, I might actually post what they all are, but essentially they're all analytical tools that you can use. They all sound a bit crazy. I remember many years ago when I heard of Crazy Egg, I was like, what is that? So I'm sure some of you are saying the same thing, but rest assured, once you Google it or just type in crazyegg.com, you'll see that it's a tracking tool and you can actually do a trial. And if you do have a development team, you can work closely with them. They'll be probably quite impressed that you're asking about it. So advertising network, conversion tracking, Facebook ads, Bing ads, Google AdWords, affiliates, marketplaces advertising, I should say. We do phone tracking and Zendesk. So we have all of our customer queries coming through one portal, which is really cool because you can create a ticket and track that as well. So yeah, so there's many different dashboard tracking tools, and I think in week 4 I'm going to show you how to do a Google dashboard and link in Google Analytics, Facebook, and a couple of other platforms. So how to track digital marketing campaigns. Does anyone out there know what a UTM tracking code is?
Well, who's getting a mention? Who's fastest typer as well? This is always fun. Scott says no. Others say yes.
Good on you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
At least he's honest.
Scott, are you the Scott that recently applied? So if so, hello. Lovely to have you in here. And there's so many. Oh, someone said tag manager.
Correct. Yes, that is. It's a tracking method.
Urchin traffic monitor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good.
So basically, it's a coded snippet that you can append on a normal URL, like so bestsellerlist.com.au, and you can track the performance of campaigns and content. So basically, when you do that, Google is able to track that, and you're able to see that data in a particular way. So I've got another slide on what that will look like. It's a really good tool that I highly recommend, and it's something that is a relatively straightforward thing to do once I show you how to do it. So over to the Google campaign URL builder. I'll put a link in the presentation. Actually, I've got a link down the bottom there that you can use. There's a couple of different ways you can do it, but essentially on the right you can see your website URL, and then the campaign source. I've got an example as say Instagram. The medium that you use is the Instagram story, and the campaign name could be course launch, and the term could be Web Analytics Digital as search terms, and the content is optional, but essentially the mandatories are the first 4. And it basically is everything after the question mark. So if you see where I've highlighted, I actually should have highlighted the question mark, but where it says UTM, after the question mark is what is actually what you will see in analytics. So I'm going to quickly go into, let me just go back to that one. So today I opened up a country road EDM, and then I clicked on Vogue on my online shopping night, which I forgot that was on because I'm a big fan of country road. So then I went to this page, which is obviously their website. As you can see here, they're tracking that. They're tracking the actual EDM, and so they're tracking where the I guess the traffic's coming from, and seeing if it's going to convert from this page.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you can see, and when you first look at it, I remember many years ago looking at this thinking, not even thinking about it, but when you know, if I just can go back here, that you've actually triggered that from here, it actually turns the URL into this, obviously this, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but the UTM tracker highlighted in yellow.
Yeah, we can.
You actually don't have to type all that in, it actually generates it for you. This is a tool, a spreadsheet that I will provide you as well, but it's another way of doing it. So it actually generates it in a different way. I've got a few other examples. So Bendit Lingerie, the same sort of thing. This on the left is the EDM, and you can see that they're tracking that as well. You can always measure the success of the digital department when you look at a retailer, which we do often, when there's no tracking. It's really important to actually do that. It's a bit of a up close and personal one. So this is where they're not tracking. So this is, it looks a bit funny, this page, but at the bottom of their EDM footer, they're actually not tracking to their Instagram page. So you can just see it's country road. So they're not measuring whether this is useful or not to them. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Important. Google Tag Manager and how to set up tracking with Google Tag Manager. So the basic meaning is it allows you to track all events and page visits on your web property, mobile app automatically. But unless you set it up and direct it to record certain data, it won't. So you've got to set up triggers and marketing tags within the GTM platform, and it'll track specific events and page views that you want to send to analytics. So when an event is triggered, you'll see that in GA. So how do you set up and deploy marketing tags? You can get your developers to do it, but you can also, if you're free and willing to do it, actually do a course in Google Tag Manager, or just watch a couple of YouTubes. It's actually pretty easy. You can actually insert snippets of code and tracking pixels on your website or mobile app without having to modify the code. Obviously, we've got a lot of early starters into analytics. I would definitely, if you're interested in learning how to do this, is to work with the person who is doing this type of thing and get them to do a screen record so you can actually learn, or just sit with them and learn it. The anatomy of a Google event, so it has the following components: a category, an action, a label, and a value. And an event hit includes the value for each component, and these values are displayed in Google Analytics reports.
When deploying Google Analytics through Google Tag Manager, the first thing you'll need to do is set up a Google Analytics page view tag. Now, this is a pretty simple process to do, so let's go ahead and walk through that.
Absolutely. So when we want to set up a new Google Analytics tag within Google Tag Manager, we can very easily just click this new tag prompt, or we can go to the tag screen to create a new tag there. So we'll click in to create a new tag, and we'll select the tag configuration to choose the tag type. In this case, we'll want to select Google Analytics Universal Analytics. And the default type selected for me, of course, is the page view tag. So this is the tag that you're going to want to deploy on all pages of your site to get the base level of reporting inside of Google Analytics. You'll notice that the second field here is asking me for a Google Analytics settings variable. If you've already set up a Google Analytics settings variable, you'll find it from this dropdown, and all you'll have to do is select it here. If you haven't done so already, you can create a new variable, and go through the process of entering your property ID and any other settings that you might want to control centrally, such as custom dimensions, custom metrics, advertising settings, and so on. We'll save this settings variable and make sure that it's named. And now any time in the future that we create a Google Analytics tag, we'll be able to choose this settings variable so we don't have to do this again. From here, all we have to do is apply a trigger, in this case, the default all pages trigger, to choose what pages this tag should fire on. It's worth noting that if you'd like to control the settings for a given Google Analytics tag from within that tag instance, instead of from the centralized Google Analytics settings variable, you can do so by selecting the Enable Overriding Settings option in this tag. And from here, you'll be able to enter in a tracking ID and all of those other settings like fields to set, custom dimensions, and custom metrics. If you've also selected a Google Analytics settings variable, that variable settings will be inherited here, and you can override individual fields as you enter them. Otherwise, if I didn't select one, only the settings entered in this tag will take effect. Once we have all of the settings ready for our Google Analytics page view tag, and we've given it a trigger, we just have to save it, make sure it has a name. In this case, we'll do Google Analytics page view. Save that tag. And once we've published this workspace, we're good to go.
Okay, so let's get into Google Paid Search, or PPC, pay per click. I'm going to talk you through how to set up and structure an AdWords campaign / account, and how to optimize your AdWords campaigns. I'll also talk to you about some of the filters that you can use, some of the match types that you might want to consider, and also some of the key metrics that you might want to analyze for optimization. Now, optimization means to improve the performance of your campaigns, and that's looking at keywords and various other things as well. So, yeah, really, I think we should first start with what is it? What is PPC, pay per click? So it's a type of online marketing strategy tactic where advertisers pay a fee each time one of their ads are clicked. So imagine you've got a set of ads out there, so Google search ads, which is the text ads that we see. Every time someone clicks on that, you as the advertiser will pay a price for every click. So there's a couple of rules of engagement with the way your ad will rank as well. So that's all down to quality score, as well as ad relevance and landing page relevance as well. But for the sake of this course, we'll just explain to you what it is and how to analyze it, how to set it up. So really, you've got to have a budget to be able to do pay per click. Pay per click is pretty much an immediate, depending if you've got the budget, can immediately rank you in Google search result, for example, whereas SEO, search engine optimization, is really your organic channel, and that's more of a different tactic that you would use, and it's not as immediate. So what does it do? It drives traffic, brand awareness, lead sales, and increases share of voice, so your online footprint. So how can you analyze and optimize AdWords? Well, really, you need to define, some of the metrics and then set KPIs. So your metrics are things like CPA, so that's cost per acquisition, or CPS, cost per sale. Knowing how much a cost per click is really important. You can base that on an average cost per click. Traffic is number of unique users that come to your site. Reach is the impression share that you would share with other competitors. Cost per lead. Calls, click to call, click to view. That's all about videos. Number of downloads, your quality score. Your website conversion rate or your ad conversion rate, landing page conversion rate, number of likes or follows, people talking about your brand, etc. So there's many different things. You don't want to be tracking everything. So you really got to work out what is your overall business objectives and how is pay per click. What are the key metrics that you'll measure success on? So it might just be a revenue number. It could be number of leads. Good conversion tracking matters. So you can see here, disruptive basically is saying most campaigns fail because they're not tracked correctly. Poor tracking, the median conversion rate is 2.18, and good tracking is 3.16. So that's the median conversion rate of a landing page website. So really, this is trying to say that AdWord account managers have no idea if their campaigns are working or not, and certainly in this day and age, you can set and forget at your own peril. But yeah, you really need to make sure that your tracking is set up so that you're measuring the right things at the right time. There's a bit of a link there too in the presentation, which you are free to investigate for more information. On the right here, you can see that we've got an AdWords overview report. This is really a dashboard, if you like, that's done through Data Studio, and it imports through a feed all the information required that you're measuring your campaigns on. So you can see click-through rate and impressions, number of clicks, 8.6K, click-through rate is 2.4, and number of impressions, for example, is 362,000. I won't read through all of it, but you can see there's, you've got your X and Y axis, your clicks and the date, and click-through rate here in the blue line there, click-through rate on the right. So you can see how those two are dependent on each other, and certainly measuring that is super important for your campaign performance. This one here is all about conversions, number of actual conversions versus your conversion rate. So you can see your conversions 0 to 180 versus your percentage conversion rate. So it's really great to have a dashboard set up like this. Even though it looks fairly detailed, it's actually quite easy to set up as long as you've got your platform, as in Google Analytics, set up, or AdWords or AdWords set up, where the data is already there. It's just importing it into a quite a nice dashboard for you to read and to present to your stakeholders. You can put a date range in here as well. So this is basically what it looks like in a what's called an AdWords Data Studio report. So as I mentioned, it also shows you the device breakdown, so see which devices are converting the most as well. Wanted to explain to you the different match types that you can consider when you're setting up an AdWords account. So broad match is really, an example would be women's hats, and it can include misspellings, synonyms, related searches, and other relevant variations. Example of the searches that a potential buyer might do is type in "buy ladies' hats." Now that's a fairly broad match. It's not really exact, but you might be really wanting to throw the net quite broad, especially in the first couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks of your campaign, just to get a sense of what is really converting and what is not converting. Broad match modifier is really using your keywords. Women's hats need to be definitely in there. So you've got hats for women. So it's very much a more narrow match. Phrase match is also looking at your keywords. It's something that someone is typing in. So women's hat needs to be in the example of the searches. So women's hats, buy women's hats, best women's hats, etc. But it needs to have quote unquote women's hats in the phrase. Exact match, you can see there's obviously different symbols there to represent that. Women's hats, that means that exactly that exact match needs to be in the search query. Now, when we talk about negative match, we're talking about, if you're in the business of selling baseball hats, you certainly don't need women's hats as a keyword in that particular campaign. So you would add women to negative match. So someone is searching for women's hats. We don't want to see that. We only want to see those with baseball hats in this example. So they're all searches without the term women in it. So setting up a Google Ads campaign, there's all different ways to set it up. I would definitely say to you, I've worked on some very complicated builds over a period of time. So I've ramped up from a simple AdWords structure that can be scaled. So I would recommend setting up your account here on the right in the image and having separate campaigns and separate ad groups that sit underneath each of those campaigns. So an account needs an email, password, billing information, and business name. Your campaign has a separate budget, settings, network, language, ad schedule, target location, and device targeting, for example. And within a campaign, an ad group would have your keywords, your audience targeting, and further down below what you can see is landing pages, specific targeted landing pages that answer the questions people are searching for, demographic information, and a set of similar ads. Maybe you want to do A/B testing. So really what I'm trying to say here is, that is a great structure. And, the precursor to that is really undertaking extensive keyword research to help your account structure. Use category structure based on your website, for example. So what is the top nav on your website? What is the hierarchy? Content silos, keyword silos are really important to make sure that everything is related to your category structure. So making sure that that's all happy days and that you can structure your AdWords campaigns based on that. You can also use, and definitely would recommend, Google Keyword Planner and other free keyword tools, Keyword Surfer, etc., Chrome extensions that are easily added. So just getting some great ideas where you can really extrapolate all those keywords that you really want to attract. So WordStream is another tool that you can use as well. Using naming conventions to categorize brand and generic keywords must be structured, or they're very hard to manage. Number 3 is really headline your terms such as women's dresses to the search terms customers search for, such as buy women's dresses. So if you're trying to use these keywords, so make sure that you're in line with what people are actually searching for. And you can use Keyword Planner and Google Trends, for example, to see if people are actually searching for those words, because if they're not searching for them, your campaign won't do well. So the ad groups is what I'm really referring to, which is over here. That sits underneath your campaigns. A couple of links there as well. So really, I'm just pretty much writing this into a very simple account structure. So you've got your account as per here, and then you've got your campaign 1, campaign 2, ad group, and under the ad group you've got keyword 1, keyword 2, etc. And that can reflect your website structure as an example. So what might that look like for women's dresses? So you've got your account, you've got women's dresses, you've got a campaign based on women's dresses, obviously, you've got a campaign based on buy and online. So keywords would be women's dresses exact match. So it needs to be exactly that. A phrase match, so a variation of exact match, and then a modified broad match. So just going a bit broader. So recommendation is to, if you're setting up a brand new AdWords structure, is to go pretty much with exact, phrase, and broad to begin with, and then you can optimize over time once the data tells you what's working and what's not. And so this campaign is really about buying women's dresses, exact match, phrase match, and modified, and then, you know, buy women's dresses online, exact match, phrase match, and modified broad match. So that's just an example. It is fairly simple, but definitely scalable, so you can see how you go. 2 to 3 weeks is usually a good, you know, a good test to see if your hypothesis of what is going to work or not is validated. So explaining the anatomy, this is an old screenshot, and Google has actually iterated further, evolved further, but essentially the fundamentals are still relevant. The format might have changed, and it certainly has. Now I'm looking at this screenshot, but essentially what I'm sort of saying here is your A/B strategy, A/B test strategy is definitely worth doing. So you can see headline 1 should include search keywords, in this example, dresses, so Tiger Lily dresses. Headline 2 could include a change to the call to action. So, you know, shop our new collections or buy now, sale offer ends in 1 day. So you could actually, you know, use what you think might work, but also use a variation as well. So you can let the data tell you what's working and what's not. So the key here is really not to change everything, just to change one thing. So different call to action could be like shop online versus buy online today. You could test both of those. Now, it removes the anecdotal, and a lot of people have different thoughts anecdotally.
So I think that is probably, it's now 9:10. I think if anyone's got kids out there, probably making sure they're asleep, getting ready for work tomorrow. I hope you've really enjoyed the session. I'll hand back over to Guy, but just want to say thanks for listening, and thanks for all the great questions. Even though a lot of you are saying that you're entry level, I'm seeing some really good intermediate questions, so and some really good advanced ones too. So I've tried to answer those on the chat. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elisha. I hope it's well, I'm sure that it is a sign of what's to come for the next few weeks. So tell all your friends. It's not too late to join up to the short course, so feel free to jump on. Yeah, only reiterate, thanks for coming along, everyone. Thanks for staying late for those of you that did. I hope those of you that are watching the recording are having a lovely time. Yeah, and also, of course, thanks to Leif and Chantel and Rebecca for the support role. Yeah, look forward to hearing from you on forums, and catch you next week.